Just look at these headlines. Offended flea market shopper calls 911 over Confederate merchandise. I was shaking and almost vomiting. That story's from the American Mirror up on drudgereport.com. This is the mental illness mind control, where people now go in the National Cathedral and see a stained glass relief of the surrender of the Confederate forces at the end of the Civil War, and they just, like 10 minutes of hate from 1984. They see it. And, of course, most Americans, you ask them when the Civil War was, they don't even know the decade, some of them the century, or who was involved. 8 out of 10 Californians we've talked to randomly think that Independence Day was from the South, because the South is now the enemy. You see, we have this twisted, warped, globalist culture where there's no information, no facts, just mindlessness. Meanwhile, Donald Trump comes out, and you would think that this is the only thing happening in the universe. We're into like week 3, and says a lot of criminals are coming in from all over the world and from Latin America. Not good workers, not smart folks, not good people. We need to stop the felons coming in. That's like saying we need to keep drug dealers out of schoolyards. And they just go, it's insane, it's incredible, it's horrible, he's the worst person in the world, to overthrow reality and common sense. And it's perfect because Trump is a huge Hillary Clinton donor. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, but he's saying stuff that's true. Trump will take our country back. Trump tapping into inner anger. Republicans, 17 contenders battle to stand out in the crowd. And what Trump's doing is standing out by telling the truth. And we've now reached the point where people are at museums, I've seen articles, and they see a Confederate flag or a Nazi flag, and the two are really separate, completely so. The Confederate flag's like 3% slavery. The Nazi flag is 100% megalomania, takeover, conquest, genetic engineering, dystopic utopia garbage. But, of course, the real spirit of the Nazis runs things today, because they were just one manifestation. They were not the daddy. They were the baby. Walmart to melt class rings bearing a Confederate flag rather than complete orders. That's right. You can't go if you went to one of these universities that has this as a symbol and get it. Even though it's tiny, you can't even really see it on the ring. This is the mental illness. And then people who've had all their basic rights and freedoms taken, they don't care if troops are under IBM computers that say do not give treatment so humans can say they weren't involved in killing them. They don't want to fight true, beyond Nazism from the actual company that ran the Nazi death camps. They want to just see a Confederate flag that was incredibly popular in the North until the 60s and 70s because it was so honorable and because it fought and won battles of 3-1, 5-1, 10-1. I mean, the British War College still studies the Confederate generals. Militaries all over the world did, because they won some of the biggest battles ever when they were outnumbered. I mean, that's why in the U.S. Army, there's so many bases named after Confederate generals, and why, until recently, be on the side of tanks was because this is like the symbol of some badass people. But instead, they've just inverted reality, and real Nazis are running everything, and we're in a giant extermination grid with poison in the water. China's stock market went down more than 40% last week. Greece is collapsing. The euro is in trouble. Our dollar has been more devalued than even what caused the Weimar Republic to slide into its collapse and ultimately lead to World War II. But you would think the only story in the universe is Memphis, Tennessee, digging up General Forrest, a Confederate general, to have his body removed because it's so evil. Or this article, offended flea market shopper calls 911 over Confederate merchandise. I was shaking and almost vomiting. That is the triumph of mind control over a politically ignorant population. They had a big national poll out last Monday. It showed 19% of Americans know what the First Amendment is in a national poll. The right of religion, the right of free speech, the right to assemble, the right to redress. 19%. That's about what we found in California and in Austin, Texas. But in San Diego, in L.A., our correspondents, our reporters go out. You've seen the videos. They're viral. And 8 out of 10 want to ban water. 8 out of 10 want to ban salt. 8 out of 10 want to put all gun owners in forced labor camps or kill them. 8 out of 10 don't know what Independence Day is. 8 out of 10 want to open the borders completely. 8 out of 10, if you say for Obama. Mainly white yuppies, but we got black folks, Hispanics, everybody on tape doing it. If you're a new listener, I'm not joking. We have the videos at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Mark Dice has done a lot of the videos out in California, MarkDice.com. There are hundreds of these videos. The latest was Obama supporters sign petition to ban free speech. The one before that was 8 out of 10 not knowing what Independence Day is. And then we go out in Austin, Texas and show the exact same thing. And we're not cherry picking. But let me tell you, they walk into a flea market and they see some war memorabilia shop that has always been one of the most popular things with vets who like to collect things. And you're going to see RAF, that's Royal Air Force, the British. You're going to see U.S. Marines, Canadian military, Turkish military, South African military, Japanese military. I mean, there's nothing cooler when you were a kid. I used to go in there and just beg for the samurai sword, Dad, from World War II that was, $500 and I couldn't have it, obviously. If you own a Japanese samurai sword from World War II carried by their officers, it doesn't mean you supported the invasion of China or Korea. Doesn't mean you supported the invasion of other areas. And I mean, obviously, only a mentally ill, mental midget with an IQ below room temperature would know that obviously, if I own a Japanese World War II samurai sword, I'm not a Nazi, or I'm not a member of the Axis powers. I mean, quite frankly, the public's so mentally ill and so stupid. I'm just saying this to even bait them. I own a World War II Luger and a Walther. And one of them was given to me as a gift. The other I bought as an investment. I bought the Luger for about $2,000. I could sell it for $15,000 right now. I'm a smart investor. I'm not an idiot. And it's a really cool gun. And it was carried by a German army officer. And I've got British World War II guns, U.S. World War II. It's cool. They're all real cool. And if you mental midget jackasses can't handle it, good. Go piss up a rope. And I'm sorry to have to talk like that, but dealing with it is insane. France years ago, and I told you it was coming here, banned Nazi memorabilia being sold at their swap meets and their stores and online. And then next it was criticizing radical Islam. And then now, in California, they've got the bill introduced to ban, it's already in a bunch of cities, the use of the word mother and father because it's hurtful, and husband and wife. See, because if you're a boy or a girl, that hurts someone. That's also being banned in schools. Boys and girls are now called purple penguins. That's mainstream news. The videos, the articles, the newscasts are up on Infowars.com. So all these serious things are going on. I'm going to cover this more later. This person walks in to a store and sees a rebel flag and goes into convulsions. By the way, the Clintons, for both presidential campaigns, used the rebel flag in the South on their official bumper stickers and signs. Millions were issued because even back then, everybody knew it had to do with Southern pride, period, and nothing to do with slavery. But the media made it about that. Offended flea market shopper calls 911 over Confederate merchandise. And they want to ban free speech. A shopper pursuing the merchandise at the Redwood County Flea Market was so offended by a vendor selling Confederate and Nazi historical memorabilia, the person actually called 911. Wallingford, Connecticut police were dispatched to the flea market to investigate. They actually responded. Imagine, there's people selling Confederate flags and Nazi stuff, and the cops actually showed up. The police chief, William Wright, tells News 8 the reason no one was arrested was because the items were being sold on private property. Not to mention no laws were broken. Because the police all at the top go along with this because this is what they've been told to do. I was talking to my son about the summer camp he went to last year. He hadn't told me this till now. And I looked it up online and actually found the curriculum. They changed he liked it, but they changed the curriculum. It was more common sense now. This year, he just got back. And they were actually basically teaching Democratic Party hardcore socialist garbage, and it's a Protestant Christian camp. And that's because through the World Council of Churches, they tell these people what to teach and what to do. And it's just outrageous. And it's stuff you'd be taught in the public school, being taught. I mean, here was one thing. Men can only do some things. Women can do everything. Just weird, bizarre stuff. But this is what happens in America. I was shaking, he tells the paper. I had to run. I mean, this is just crazy. And, of course, the seller goes on to say, hey, I'm just selling what you can't keep in stock. Well, of course. I mean, I need to send our crew out to the next gun show and just show, you know, it's usually some old World War II vet behind the counter, but most of those guys are dead now. But it's always some vet behind the counter likes to collect stuff. And they're right there selling Army knives, Marine Corps knives, German knives, Greek knives. And whatever's the rarest and the weirdest, you know, some Russian World War I dagger will be like $5,000. I mean, does that mean you support the Russians in World War I? I mean, and the average person just is so ignorant, they just want to feel important and powerful, so they just pick something and freak out about it. And I know I harp on this a lot. It's because this victory of ignorance over reality is what's going to bring the country and the world down. Donald Trump was mentioned. We're going to play this clip coming up after the break. 200 plus times. It's what's called a Trumpgasm. He was mentioned 239 times in 24 hours, just on mainstream television, on CNN. And I'm going to explain why they're doing this when we come back. I mean, we've gone over a lot of facets of it, but I'm going to give you the straight dope on Donald Trump and this three-dimensional chess they're playing and what you will see unfold with Trump, I'm predicting, in the next year and a half. I want to talk about a perfect storm today. And the perfect storm I'm going to discuss is a really good perfect storm. I have prayed, literally, to be able to find a high-quality gun sponsor that is affordable and that is extremely well-made and effective that I can promote to my audience. About 6 months ago, we get contacted by Head Down Firearms, hdfirearms.com. Low cost compared to competitors. Super high quality, super lightweight, super accurate, and the experts salivate over it and love it. Their entire line of 5.56, 308, and their accessories are simply amazing, and it's designed by battle-hardened vets that know what they wish they would have had. You need to go to hdfirearms.com today, or you can visit headdownproducts.com. That's headdownproducts.com. We're watching the takedown, not just of our country, but the world, of the global technocracy that is using social engineering, tribal warfare to bring down the once sovereign countries of the world and to distract the populations that are being enslaved and fed on with all the class warfare, race warfare garbage. And much of the ignorant public plays along with it like rats being led by the Pied Piper. But before I get into Donald Trump, I thought I'd play a chilling statement from Jimmy Carter, former U.S. president, saying America is in inevitable decline, not Obama's fault. So while with one mouth they tell you everything's fine, it's the best economy since sliced bread, on the other side they say, no, we're really in a global depression, but don't worry, it's not Obama's fault. Well, no, it's not Obama's fault. It's the big private central banks that are engineering this whole show. They engineered Greece. They engineered the euro. They engineered what's happening in China to consolidate power. It's called economic warfare. So let's go to this chilling statement.
Well, we're in an inevitable relative decline in worldwide influence, not because of any fault of ours, but it's, as I said, inevitable. I think that the combination of China and India and Brazil and South Africa and others as a increase in economic and cultural influence will replace a lot of the power and preeminence that the United States has enjoyed in the past.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear. Do you know what an egg sac is? A lot of different species have it. Whenever the zygote's growing, before it fully attaches and creates a placenta to its mother, it lives off of the yolk sac. And the United States created the UN, created globalism, propped up China when 95% of their population was farmers and they couldn't produce a pot to pee in. And the globalists moved over there, put totalitarianism in that was centralized under them, built up China, built up Mexico, built up India. That's globalism. At the higher levels, they tell you, well, we got to have a global government. We got to take America's wealth and build the rest of the world. But that's a lie, too. Because if you go to Mexico or China or India, on average, people are worse off than they were when they were agrarian and self-sufficient and happy. So this is the world in the hands of the globalist in their own words. Not what they put out on TV, but in their textbooks, in their battle plans. Why do you think Jimmy Carter signed the deal that took until 2000 to get done to transfer the Panama Canal that we built and that Panama didn't want us to give up and that was making the United States billions of dollars a year of profit? We just gave it to China because the robber barons have made a deal to carve up American hegemony and power that was gained through ideas and free market and invention, and has grafted all of these countries in and their elites in to become powerful off of the United States. We are the egg sac. But we're not giving them our blood so they grow and are strong to then trade with us. We are putting elites in to duplicate globalism and bring in the one world government. So the United States blood and treasure and ideas have been used, and then we also take the blame for the military takeovers, which are really globalist. We fit the bill. Our sons and daughters die. They get put on no-treat death list by the Watson computers at IBM. It's all cutesy. The Chinese are exploited. They have suicide nets around the Apple factories, the Foxconn factories. Suicide nets, forced abortions, hell on earth. And the whole world sinks. A giant sucking sound, a devaluing.
To celebrate the birth of our country and give a big thanks to all the info warriors out there, we are now offering free shipping on every item shipped out of the InfoWarsStore.com warehouse. That's free shipping on all t-shirts, books, and DVDs. Free shipping on Molon Labe and 1776 belt buckles, which are also 25% off while supplies last. Free shipping on all of our InfoWarsLife.com nutraceuticals. If it's in the InfoWarsStore.com warehouse, it's shipping for free, all during the month of July. It's our way of saying thanks to the true heart and soul of this operation, who stand beside us and support us as we wage an info war for liberty and freedom for all. InfoWarsStore.com. Free shipping for the month of July.